So what are some characteristic features of research findings? When you do research, when you read the papers, the type of research paper that you're reading or the type of research study that the paper is about is very important. You really need to know whether the paper is a systematic review, is it a randomized control trial, is it a cohort, is it a case control studies, case series, because that matters. If the higher up the paper that you're reading is in this pyramid, the stronger, the more credible the paper is. Ideally, we want to find a systematic review or a randomized control trial. However, it's not always feasible, not always available. So sometimes we'll have to resort to cohort studies or case control studies. We're going to do a lecture on what all these terms mean, but just know that when you're reading a research study, higher it is in the pyramid, the stronger and the more credible the paper would be. The number of subjects is also important. So how many people participated in that study? Were there only 20 people that participated in your study? Or was there 500 people that participated in that study? The higher the number of subjects, so the more people that participate, the stronger the study. So the number of subjects is also important, so to look at when you're reading paper. The type of statistical analysis, the type of math that is done, and we'll talk more about that later on. Okay, so just know that the key thing here is that the higher up it is in this evidence-based pyramid, this is actually called an evidence-based pyramid, the higher up the paper is, the more credible the research is. So let's go over the steps of evidence-based practice. So the first step is coming up with a topic. So in the example that I gave previously, the dentist had a topic on Ouroboros to see if it reverses numbness. So find a topic that interests you. Then we're going to search for evidence. We're going to appraise the evidence, apply the evidence, and evaluate it. So let's go over these components or these steps. So topic. The way you select a topic is you find a subject that interests you, and then there's a specific way to word that question. So you find a topic, and that topic becomes a clinical question. And how does it become a clinical question? Well, that's what we're going to talk about later on today. But the clinical question takes a PICO format, where the P stands for patient, I stands for intervention, C stands for comparison, and O stands for outcome. Again, you'll learn a lot about this in the next video. The first thing you do is find a topic, and you can see PICO is listed out here. Then you search for evidence, whether it be using PubMed, whether it be using Cochrane, whether it be using any other databases that you think are good to get information. You would go to that database and you would search for evidence. And then you would appraise the evidence. And what appraise basically means is you would grade the evidence, or you would see which evidence is credible, you would see whether the evidence that you're reading is credible. And so typically what I like to do is when I have like 10 papers, I would have 3 piles. I would put some papers in the good pile. I would put some papers in the bad pile because they don't pertain to me, maybe they're not credible, and then maybe some paper in the unsure pile where I'll have to go back and reread those papers to see whether they are good or bad. So appraise the evidence, figure out whether this evidence or the paper that you're reading is good or not. And then apply it. And what that basically means is that you have to now decide whether the evidence that you found, whether the research that you found, could you apply it to your patient? Could you apply it to all the clients that you have in your dental office? So knowing whether the information you found could be applicable to your client. Now, what's important to know is that when you find research, don't just find one paper that's a really good paper and that, let's just say that paper says that this treatment works, that Ouroboros, which is what the dentist used earlier to reverse numbness. Don't just find one paper to show that it works. You want to find at least 5 papers. So at least 5 papers, if not more, to show that Auraverse works. So just one paper on how effective Auraverse is not enough. You need to find more. So don't just use one study and conclude that this Auraverse would work. You want to find many studies to show that it works. And that's what it says here. You need several studies to demonstrate consistent or same findings. And then at the end, what you have to do is evaluate. And so you evaluate the 4 steps discussed. So you evaluate the topic. Was the topic a good topic? Was it a relevant topic? You evaluate your search. Did you do the good job searching? Did you use the right key terms to search? You evaluate the appraisal. Did you make sure that you got rid of all the bad articles? Did you make sure that you have all the good articles? You evaluate the applicability of the evidence. Is this really going to work for my client? So evaluation is evaluating all these steps. And once you've done all that, then that's a great evidence-based decision-making model that you have made. So it's really important that you follow those steps to come up with an evidence-based decision.